Father nearly cancels Make-A-Wish trip. I've been on this sub a long time and I figured it was about time I finally added my own story. I'll try to make this quick and avoid oversharing, but basically, when I was 17 I went into cardiac arrest driving home from school. Miraculously, my car just drifted off the road and grazed a tree, leaving my then limp dead body mostly free from harm. I was told that had I still been conscious or alive really, I may have ended up being injured far worse. Anyways, the person behind me stopped their car and called an ambulance, which in another incredible stroke of luck happened to be parked on the street I crashed on. There was a sheriff on scene who I got to talk to after this all went down and I was up and moving around again. He told me that because of my long hair, I'm a guy. The ambulance assumed it was a drug overdose and Narcaned me twice. After that didn't work, they finally used the defibrillators and brought me back on their second try. First time they brought me back, they lost me. This part of the story is getting too long, but basically I had an SICD put in, and to this day I haven't had any problems with my heart. Soon after my accident, my dad contacted Make-A-Wish and they were happy to grant me a wish. As a 17-year-old who was freshly out of a car, that was my first idea for a wish, and I don't remember the exact reasoning, but they asked me to pick something else. My next idea was to travel, but seeing as how when this happened we were fresh out of the pandemic, Make-A-Wish had a huge back catalog of travel wishes and they weren't doing international travel at the time. Eventually I came to the idea of going to meet a girl I had been talking to on the internet, and from the point I decided to go see her, our relationship became a lot more serious. Some of the adults in my life were suspicious and people loved to poke fun at my online, long-distance relationship, but in this day and age with Snapchat and FaceTime it's pretty easy to confirm that someone is who they say they are. Anyways, I talked about it with my wish grantaires, though I just referred to my now GF as a friend because I was a nervous teenager, and they loved the idea of me using my wish to not meet someone famous but to meet a friend. We didn't officially start dating until we met, but I'll refer to her as my GF. Since there was such a long list of kids who wished for travel, and since I was pretty much as healthy as you can get being a Make-A-Wish kid, I ended up having to wait several months before I got to go. The lead-up was agonizing and my GF and I were so excited to meet. This is where my dad started with his bullshittery. Make-A-Wish had offered to set up some things for us to do together while I was visiting. For context, she lives in California, which is a long way away from my home state of Maine, and has a lot more interesting stuff to do. And my dad thought this was a great idea. Me, on the other hand, all I wanted was to meet my GF and spend as much time as I could with her. I didn't need to go to Disney or Universal, and neither did she. We were just looking forward to each other. My dad and my stepmom were both going to be coming along for the trip, and they decided that it would be better if we planned as much stuff to do as possible, even if we didn't end up doing it, mostly so that they, my parents, would have something to do while I was with my GF. The way I saw it, they were trying to squeeze every penny they could out of Make-A-Wish. This to me felt wrong. I know that lots of Make-A-Wish kids survive, but I knew that I was a mostly healthy individual who didn't necessarily need this opportunity as other kids might, so I just wanted to go see my GF and not spend any of Make-A-Wish's money that I didn't have to. My dad was furious when I told him this. I can't remember the full conversation, lots of yelling. I have memory problems from the whole dying thing, and also my mind probably blocked it out because I hate yelling. And long story short, he threatened to cancel my Make-A-Wish trip if I didn't plan the trip around making sure that my dad was entertained the whole time. He and my stepmom were staying in a nice hotel the whole trip. I was supposed to, I think, but I ended up staying at my GF's house, and I'm pretty sure they had some pocket money from Make-A-Wish to do some stuff while they were there, but that wasn't enough for him. In the end, not wanting to lose out on this opportunity, I let my dad have control of the trip, and he had me tell them a bunch of stuff I wanted to do while I was there. There was a whole itinerary of different activities for them, and even then, after Make-A-Wish said that Disney was not available as an option currently, they ended up going to Disney with the money out of their own pockets. More evidence that they didn't need Make-A-Wish's money. My stepmom ended up not feeling well while we were there and didn't want to go anywhere, so my dad, after continuously telling him that we did not want to go do any of the things he planned, shows up to my GF's house unannounced early in the morning to try to get us to go with him to SeaWorld. We did not go, we know how they treat those animals, and he told us he had a good time with the dolphins. A few months after my trip, I graduated high school, quit my job and moved across the country to be with my GF, and I haven't talked to my dad since I left. If you think I'm overreacting, he had a long history of verbal and psychological abuse as well as neglect for all his children, not just me. I was the third and final kid of his to grow up and decide I don't need him in my life anymore. I did not do a very good job at making this quick, but thank you for reading all the way here if you did. TLDR. Gotta make a wish, wanted to meet online GF. Dad made me plan a bunch of stuff we didn't want to do so he wouldn't be bored and threatened to cancel the Make-A-Wish trip if I didn't squeeze as much money as I could out of Make-A-Wish edit. Spelling, formatting.
On the verge of quitting my live-in nanny job. I, 21, recently got a job as a live-in nanny and already am regretting it. First off, I am paid weekly and am supposed to have a set amount of hours, but for the time that I've worked here it has always been more. The dad is always out of town for work, and the mom will invite me to do activities with the kids as like family time, but then it will basically be me babysitting them. Also not counted in my hours is me doing a deep clean of the house once a week, going through the entire house and taking the trash out, cleaning up daily after the kids and parents, washing and folding laundry, including the bed laundry for the entire house, emptying and filling up dishwasher daily, and grocery shopping once a week. Speaking of grocery shopping, I send a list of each meal I'm making for the kids to them and tell them I use the leftovers from dinner for school the next day, and multiple times they have used the ingredients for themselves or eaten the leftovers before I have time to make/pack up the food for the kids. They also will regularly go out for drinks and to do stuff after the kids are asleep, hours after I'm off, and bring me the baby monitor until they're back, although they do say if I text them to come back they will. This takes an extra at least 6 hours that I don't get paid for. The mom also asks me to do extra tasks for no extra pay. For example, she asked me to go through 4 huge containers of kids' clothes that her friend gave to her and organize it and put it away, along with going through their closet and cleaning out summer things. Today, she asked me how does my day look. I assumed she was just chatting with me, but she then asks me to pick up the kids when I was only supposed to work a couple of hours in the morning, which takes 2 hours altogether, from school because, and I quote, it takes a long time, and she doesn't feel like doing it. A big reason I wanted this job is because they had an Airbnb that I was going to manage for extra amount of money, but they just told me they're selling it, which they said they've been thinking about for a couple months, which is before I was hired, but told me during the interview that that was a bug part of the job. I'm very interested in hospitality and stuff like that, so thought this would have been a great opportunity, along with the extra money, of course, as I'm saving. I know this is kind of my fault, and I should stick up for myself, but I'm so scared if I do they might retaliate or kick me out, and my closest family is a few hours away.
Entitled parents destroyed the relationship between me and my brother. Growing up with my twin brother was always difficult for my parents, which I completely understand. It is not easy to manage both child at the same time. Finance being one of the main issues, paying for everything, be it education, at the same time was very tough and hard to manage other things in life. I totally get it, them being first-time parents and suddenly they have to invest energy, finance in taking care of both siblings simultaneously, which is not an easy job. The worst part started when we both were compared for doing each and everything and shouted and abused it due to difference in competitiveness and not being equal, like I was doing well in exams whereas my brother was not. The only thing they knew to deal with physical and verbal abuse in order to control, parent us and manage both at the same time, and this continued till I got out of the house. Parents favored me more than him as I was their favorite one and he was always treated little differently. So due to this I was never really open to him and neither does he. We started having different friends and joined different colleges. This created a lot of gap between us to the point that he sometimes trusts his friends more than me, hardly ever calls to check up with me. I don't even remember celebrating birthdays in good mood. I don't even remember the deep conversation we had or any other things/feelings he shared with him about his life. Although he never reciprocates to whatever interest I show in conversation with him. Realized it later that I am having mental health issues growing up in dysfunctional family with entitled parents for which I am on medication, and I truly knows that he is going through the same mental health issues or worse, to which he doesn't cares much and doesn't take MH seriously. He still hasn't healed from the wounds the way my parents treated him and lives in somewhat fear and takes decisions on the basis of it. I just don't know, we hardly share any deep bonding and sometimes I feel like we are more like colleagues who grown up under one roof. Neither does he or I have any good relation with parents after the way they treated us and only in minimal contact. Did anyone experience similar where parents have destroyed the relationship among siblings? At this point, I don't even know whether we would become close in future or just continue being brother for namesake who hardly share any bonding.
My mom wants me to go to the urgent care, just because I have a flu. I don't know if this is the right sub to post this, but I'm really mad right now. First of all, I'm in my 30s, but my mom still treats me like a child and tries to control my life. I have a flu since Friday. I already tested for COVID twice, and it came out negative. I usually never miss work and have a perfect attendance even when I feel sick. I even went to work yesterday, but I was feeling bad because I have low energy. Today I decided to stay home, and even my mom told me I should stay home to get some rest. It's 9 a.m. and she texted me not too long ago saying, "Hey, do you want your dad to take you to the urgent care later on today? He has the day off." I got so pissed and told her I want to get some rest because that was the whole purpose of missing work and staying home. I literally just want to be in my PJs and in bed like sick people normally do. I'm so tired of my mom telling me what to do. She's obsessed with the urgent care. She thinks that's the solution for every tiny problem. One time that I felt nauseous and stayed home, she also told me to go there. And that day I stupidly listened to her and spent the whole day in the urgent care when I was sick and wanted to stay in bed. So this time I told her firmly that I wanted to rest and not go anywhere. Am I right to feel annoyed for my mom telling me what to do when I'm sick and wanting me to go out?
Sport parents suck. Apparently, I'm an inconsiderate bee. Before I went home, I pulled over next to the park to play Pokemon. That gym is mine. All instinct players in the vicinity rely on me to keep it. I was sitting in my car, wrecking the competition, and a random sport dad started tapping on my window. He'd just spent a solid minute parking his car directly in front of mine, despite the fact that there were at least a half-dozen spots right across the street. He asked why I was there, and I was honest. I was playing Pokemon. These spots aren't for you, you inconsiderate bee. If I was an IRL confrontational person, I would have pointed out that the field his child was currently playing soccer on, because that's a stretch to describe what his 6-year-old was doing, is maintained in part by the HOA that I pay into. But I was tired and just wanted to take the gym and go home. So I only said, "I'll keep that in mind," and rolled my window up. I kind of look forward to the possibility that I'll encounter him again. Thank you so much for watching. For more videos like this, please subscribe.